Hey guys, Joe here at JP Details with the second and final episode of the BMW 1 Series paint correction detail. We have now washed the exterior, cleaned the wheels, fully decontaminated the bodywork, and we've even compounded the paintwork to a perfectionist standard. Today's primary job is to refine the paint and to protect all external surfaces. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then please consider doing so. We're approaching 100k really quick and I'm excited to get there. Please hit subscribe now and join us on the journey. Just a quick note to add, if you haven't watched the first episode of this series yet, then I would highly recommend doing so, then coming back to this video after. That way you will be able to see what the car was like beforehand to understand what I've been up against. The level of defects in the paint, the swirling, the repainted panels, the extra bits that required further attention, all of which have been covered in the previous episode. The car was pretty dirty to begin with, so it did make for some satisfying viewing. Please visit the description below to find the link for the first part of this series. So by now most of the harder work will have already been done, i.e. the wash, decon and mainly the compounding stage, which is arguably the lengthiest stage of them all. I always find the refinement stage far more enjoyable because we're now going to be bringing the paintwork back to an incredible finish. The key with the compounding stage is to use a suitable pad and product combination to suit the car in question. Pick the right pad and compound and mix it in with some skills and patience, and what you should be left with is a finish that's ready for refining. If you picked a compound that was too heavy coarse for the paint, it would have left incredibly noticeable and bad marring in the finish. This marring would look like uniform swirl marks. Pick the right product and pad combination for the compounding stage and these shouldn't be anywhere near as noticeable. Whatever is left in the finish at this point though needs to be removed, so we're left with 0 marks when we're finished. In this instance of the 135i's black paint, I went for the green medium compound from Repairs and I used it with FlexiPad's microfiber cutting discs. With my own skills, this left minimal marring in the paint, so my refinement stage is purely going to be given to bring that gloss back to the finish. In an ideal world this is what you'd be left with, but I guess it just goes to show that I have detailed a few cars before. The 135i has been dusted off and a quick buff to tidy the windows. We'll be using the Repairs LHR 15 Bigfoot machines with the white Repairs polish and the white Repairs polishing pads. This will take the finish on the Beamer to the next level. Apply sufficient amount of product to the pad and begin working over the paint. Spread the residue out on speed setting 4 and work it in on speed setting 6. It's now down to yourself to put the time and effort in. Run the machine over the paint incredibly controlled, slow and steady. Hold it flat against the surface to create a nice contact patch, then polish away until your heart's content. Even with foam pads you'll need to brush them out frequently and reapply the product when required. Do not over apply the product as this will degrade the pads and it won't polish the surface in the same effective way. You'll also need to control the residue within your pads, but this is done by only applying the right amount of product in the first place. As soon as your pads become out of shape or if they stop feeling right, then they need swapping out for new ones. I must warn you that there is a lot I can talk about with all things paint correction, ceramics and machine polishing in general. The JP training days are very good because me and you get to spend the full day together and I also get 250 quid. Please visit jpdetails.co.uk/training days to find out more. The gloss levels on the Beamer are thankful for the refinement stage and the bits we have now done are looking unbelievably glossy and very much back to black. I'm very impressed with the level of orange peel reduction that we've both managed on the bonnet as it was very prevalent before. A technique for ensuring a 100% fully refined finish with zero lighter spots or darker spots, holograms or any other nasties is going to be aided with a certain adjustment that I must have mentioned a billion times. After working the product on the paint over your entire section on speed setting 6, unless you've got some really soft and thin paint where you'll have to adjust, then knock it down a little further to around 4.5 to give it a far better final dueling process. This will help to squeeze further droplets of gloss out of the finish. By slowing the machine down a tad will now give us an even softer finishing capability, which is very important for actual show cars or whilst working with softer paint. Maintain a slow arm speed throughout and you'll need to become at one with the machine. I say this many times, but it's always the case: work with the contours of the vehicle and pay close attention to all of the hard to reach areas. These are usually the same areas with swirl marks left in afterwards when we do a typical paint correction training day. Don't allow the plastic backing plate at any point to donk against the car because it will cause significant damage. You do need to take care when machine polishing, but practice does make perfect. I actually forgot to compound the spoiler lip, so I'll quickly do it before it gets refined. Tick each section off in your head as you work your way around. It'll soon become second nature when you've done it a few times. Every section of paintwork on the car will be getting hit on speed setting 6, then the machine will be getting knocked back down to around 4.5 for the slower finishing dueling process. This technique is always given to vehicles with softer clear coat. You could get away with it on harder paint, but in saying that, by going the extra mile, the paint will benefit unless it is actually very hard. Before the car gets sent up, I'm going to polish the windows and the windscreen with the Rupes Bigfoot LHR15. This is going to offer the glass a much better level of polish than doing it by hand. I won't be missing out on the gloss black piece of trim either, which has already been given a light compound. If you so wish, you could give the windows a compound, which I did do to the Focus, but I don't see the point in doing that on the Beamer today. There isn't a manifestation of overspray on the rear window, unlike what there was on the Focus. I'm going to polish the A, B and C pillars and the wing mirrors before sending the car up. Both the Rupes Bigfoot LHR15 and the Mini Bigfoot 75E both make fantastic machines for polishing automotive paint, believe it or not. If I were to recommend two machines to get you properly started with a key factor of detailing, then these will be the ones. They'll allow you to cover 98% of the vehicle with a Rupes hybrid finishing off the rest.
Too bad.
No, okay, so you only got
Because I just get another one, because that was all just like coming into a down sort of thing.
The lift is ever proving its worth, as it really does make working on vehicles so much more comfortable and enjoyable. It gives you a sense of professionalism, that's for sure. After so many years of detailing cars on my knees, big shout to the Slims detailing mats, they've proven their worth as well. Send the car up if you're as lucky as me then for a better working position, and I'll begin with the upper sections of the door/wings first, and then I'll send it up a little further to attend to the rest. Areas that are, as I'd say, medium in size, it's all about positioning the machine so it spins nicely on the paint. These DAs are prone to bogging down if they're not kept flat against the surface, and the washer mod will help you out enormously. Simply spend the time required machine polishing the vehicle using whichever machines that you have at your disposal. I'm now going to try and create some type of cinematic segment of music and footage, so I'll see you again at the next stage. The next fun task is using the ShineMate EP803 intricate rotary machine polishing tool. Under the grab handles are prone to becoming heavily scratched, quite simply due to their location. This tool is going to help me to combat these hideous hiding defects. The compounding attachment has been fitted and the Rupes green medium compound has been dribbled on. Take control of the polishing cone and do the inner door handle justice to get it defect free once again. I'll follow with a softer polishing cone to refine afterwards to bring the finish back. A handheld applicator to finish off, then a wipe down to complete. Meguiar's metal polish and a microfiber applicator for the exhaust tips is all they need, as they're not in all that bad condition. These are actually aftermarket tips which have been stuck on over the top of the originals. I found out because the one on the left became a bit loose when I was putting in a bit of elbow grease. All final areas where machine polishing wasn't possible, I'll grab a auto glim applicator and do them by hand. These areas include the front grille, painted inner arch lips underneath the front and rear bumpers and the underside of the sills. A quick dust off and a final lucky rub down with a new microfiber towel. The next day is going to get the beamer almost ready for protecting. The next step will be to IPA the paint and windows, stone chip touch-ups, then onto the ceramic coating. G-Technic panel wipe is going to remove all of the polish oils and residue from the surface of the paint. If we fill the paint now, it is going to feel rather silky. Compared to feeling that same panel after IPA, it will then feel rather rough and catchy. Essentially, by wiping the paintwork down with a diluted alcohol product is going to allow the ceramic to bond directly to the surface that it's actually designed to be protecting and not a load of polish residue in between. This is going to strip the paint of some much needed moisture, but this will be soon replaced with G-Technic's finest. Use a couple of towels for the IPA wipe down and carry a light around with you so you can inspect the paint for a final time. Here is my final inspection after the IPA. I've now got the enormous task of filling in numerous stone chips. I decided to spend a few hours doing this to various bits on the car, building a few layers in the worst places. Saved myself a few quid from a respray bumper, so I'm happy with that. When the car's all finished and coated, you may be surprised. Midway through attending to the chips on the front bumper, I opted to take the plate off because it's in the way and it isn't level. I put the plate back on a few days ago and you never guessed it, I put it on wonky. With the plate out of the way, I'll give it a good compound and polish because those glue strips did take a bit of shifting to remove. I've got my BMW dealer purchase touch-up kit in the colour of black sapphire metallic, and I'll be using a cocktail brush to apply it. I'll now literally go around the car more than once and on more than one day to meticulously touch in all offending areas. These kits do usually come with a lacquer that you are meant to apply over the top in the same fashion, but I always find them to be very stringy and hard to work with. I opt to use the following 3 layers of ceramic coating to act as the protective barrier, and instead I'll chuck that lacquer in the bin. For the painted inner arch lips, which have lost quite a bit of paint over the years, and other areas where the arches were once scraping away on the tyres, a small paintbrush was absolutely perfect. These areas were absolutely transformed, so carry on watching this. Again, the stone chip touch-ups continued, and I tried to refine the gloss black trim on the passenger side, but I think someone compounded it too much and it's now lost the colour quite noticeably. Oh, the joys of employing someone. The stone chips have all finally disappeared after numerous hours, I'm not going to lie. I'll give the paintwork a quick dust down and onto the first layer of ceramic it is. G-Technic Crystal Serum Light is going to provide the ideal base coat to protect the paint against all sorts of nasties. On its own, this coating option will protect the paint for between 3 to 5 years. In an ideal world, you would want to apply 2 layers of XO V4 over the top to give you the 5-year coating, which is exactly what I'll be doing to the Beamer today. On its own, CSL lacks any decent long-term water repellency. XO on the other hand doesn't have any issues with water repellency, it just needs topping with G-Technic Easy Coat every few months if you're a perfectionist like I am. With all 3 layers applied to the car, it will be in for some fantastic protection against UV fading, easy cleaning effects, water beading behaviour, sheeting, protection in general, and the coatings deepen the gloss level more than any Karud wax or paint sealant, so you really can't go wrong. I never like to do things by half, so I'll be going the full 9 yards even if I don't plan to keep the vehicle for 5 years. CSL goes on easily enough and you apply it with the supplied applicator. Apply enough product to cover your first section and then use the 2-towel technique to remove the residue. Inspect your results with a trusty light source and you will then need to leave each layer to cure for around 3 hours before applying the next. Flip the first tile a few times and gently begin removing the residue. Switch to your second tile and repeat the process, and always wipe further than where you applied the coating to. You can opt to take a third tile for a final wipe over behind your trusty light source. As your first tile becomes soggy with coating, throw it out and replace it with the second tile, and then bring in a new third tile and keep the cycle going. I'll usually go through around 3 tiles per layer of ceramic. The first layer of ceramic is sometimes the most noticeable change in the gloss level. The paint goes from rather catchy and rough to instantly wet and smooth. The following 2 layers can become a bit of a mundane task as the work is rather physical. The first layer was fantastic to see though, and EXO is the deeper gloss product as well. After all 3 layers, I knew we were in for something special. Ceramic, or SiO2 or silica, is the chief ingredient in glass, so what we are essentially applying to the paint is a liquid form of glass. Be prepared to be amazed. Chemistry at its finest in such a positive way. Ceramic outperforms any type of traditional wax or paint sealant beyond anyone's imagination. Ceramic is the future of car care, but I don't think that wax will ever be dead. CSL was applied to the entire exterior on the 1 Series, including all of those touched up arches, undersills and everywhere else that you can't even see. I do this to protect the vehicle, so that means as much of it that I can get to will only be acceptable. I'm now going to apply 2 layers of G10 EXO V4 to make up for this 5-year coating, so hit the music and I'll see you again when I'm done. With the paintwork ceramic stage done, the car is dropped back down and say hello to my little doggy called Sparko. The car is looking fantastic, so let's get it all finished off. As if by magic, the wheels and arches have all been fully detailed and protected, so please do check out the 1 Series Wheels Off detail to watch this video in real life. It was quite the good one because the arches were rotten. Up next were 3 layers of G-Technic G1 smart glass for the windscreen and a single layer to the side windows and rear window to protect for 2 years. A bit of trim dressing for a few plastic bits of trim including the scuttle panel. The door shuts and sills were finished with a spray sealant including the filler cap area. When we started the 1 Series detail, it was seriously lacking the finer details. It was also moderately swirled, filthy within the hidden areas and multiple defects to contend with on the bodywork. There are still a few things left to do on the 135i before it's ready for its new owner, and one of those is to complete a underside deep clean preservation detail. I'd hazard a guess around 100 hours have been put into the car so far, and it's now looking so much better off for it. As always, thank you for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are so close to hitting 100,000 subscribers and I can't wait to get there. Give me a follow on Facebook and Instagram, just search JP Details, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next one.